Yo, welcome to this YouTube channel / daily journal where I'm documenting my journey, my insights, learnings from generating 6 figures in digital products so far to generating 7 figures in digital product sales, info product sales, hopefully in the very, very near future, right? We hit that benchmark. Now, by the title of the video, you know what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about how I made $20,000 from 4 emails. Now, you may be wondering, like, what do you mean? Like, did you send 4 emails and people from those emails, paid you? And it's not really the case, right? Essentially, if you've been watching my channel for the last few days, you know that I have a business where I essentially help people launch their info product business, their coaching program, their digital product, whatever you want to call it these days. But I just help, experts and content creators launch their products. You could consider me a launch specialist, and that's what I do. That's kind of my unique angle and what I'm going to be talking about in this channel. Because ultimately, that's one of the reasons why, with not many like crazy, like work ethic, I've been able to still have clients do work and, generate a decent amount of money so far. By no means am I some like crazy guy or like expert. Like, no, there's guys generating a lot more money than what I am. But yeah, I'm making these videos for the people who, right, still don't know about this world and want to, get a piece of the pie of the digital product space. And ultimately, you've learned that just digital product with like AI just isn't a thing. So anyways, let's get into it. $20,000 in 4 days with a few emails. Let's get into it. So the context, essentially the emails were sent by a client of mine. So the $20,000 was generated by having me help one of my clients launch his mentorship program, right? An info product, a coaching program, etc. Right? This is a different form of digital product. If you saw my video from yesterday, you'll understand what I mean. If you didn't, go back and watch it. I talked about the difference between a digital product, like a PDF and ebook, how those are really not valuable to info offers, and how those are really the gold mine and what people that are actually making money are actually selling. So why listen to somebody that tells you to do one thing but sells another, right? So essentially, right, I helped this person. They were somebody that I followed and I still follow to this day. They posted, mindset content. It was pretty aesthetic, and I just thought that it was pretty cool. So I reached out to the guy. This was way back when, and that's why I'm actually making the video, because it makes sense to where most of you guys are at, more in your beginning stages. So I reached out and I was like, hey, from that expertise that I knew or that I had, I was like, hey, this is not, he wanted to launch a free community on like school or something like that. And I'm like, don't do that. That's going to cheapen your brand. Like, I knew what I was talking about, and I just told him, like, don't do this instead. This is going to be better, et cetera, et cetera. This guy's doing it, and I helped this other person do it as well. And he's like, okay, interesting, right? Like, let's talk about it. Let's hop on a call. I did try to pitch him. He wasn't, like, he was going to work with somebody else, but appreciated the time. And essentially, long story short, I kept watering the plant for a few months, and eventually he came back and was like, hey, it didn't go so well with what I was planning to do. Let's try your thing, right? And I'm like, cool, sounds good. Let's do it. It's going to take 30 days to launch. And he's like, no, I don't have 30 days. Let's do it in a week. Can we do it in a week? And I'm like, cool, sounds good. So I have this story highlight in my Instagram, by the way, if you want to go check that out. But yeah, I was like, sounds good. I accepted it, went ahead. We took my launch protocol, like my process, which is this, and I've shown in a different video. And yeah, we took that process and made it like a 4-day thing, because ultimately there's 4 phases. So we just took each phase, which is typically a week, and made it into a day, and did a 4-day launch. And the result was this, but essentially £15,000, which if you do the conversion, at least back when we did it, I think it still may be. It's like $20,000, right? So yeah, this was in 4 days, like zero prep, like very, very little time to actually get anything done, right? So I've shared the context of what happened, shared the proof. So now I'm going to show you what I actually did, and I'm going to show you those emails, and eventually, or later, I'm going to show you how you can do it too, or just tell you how, right? So obviously, if you want to learn how and you want to like genuinely learn this stuff, just follow the channel. I'm going to be launching a Discord soon. So yeah, just drop, I don't know, like funny emoji in the comments if you want to join, to show me that you're actually interested, and just tell me what you want to see in that Discord so I know to add it. Cool. And the reason why, just as a what is it? It's like 6:30, and I just had a crazy long day. But yeah, my mind is kind of cooked right now. But yeah, the reason why I'm doing the Discord is because a bunch of people have asked me to like help them more. So I'm just like, yeah, let's do a free Discord. But cool. Step one, I analyzed the audience. So this person had like 90,000 followers on Instagram. On one account, that was his main account. He had another one where he was starting to post I think he had 4,000 followers. And he had a newsletter, right? So he had a newsletter where he dropped like super valuable emails. And this guy's thing was kind of like mindset, habits, self-mastery. That was his thing. Teaching people how to, eliminate, limiting beliefs and essentially kind of like all the things that were keeping you in a loop, right? And just stuck in life. That was his thing. So essentially to that audience, we launched a giveaway. So it was going to be a giveaway / lead magnet. If you don't know what a lead magnet is essentially something that will attract a lead. A lead is just somebody who has shown interest by giving you their name, their email, maybe their phone number. Just they give you a data point so that then eventually you can maybe keep them inside of your, CRM, your database, whatever, right? You can count them as a lead, as somebody who's interested. So what we did was we were giving away a free consultation. So, hey, win a free consultation with me. And, if you want to know who the guy is, it's on my Instagram as well, in my highlights. But yeah, win a free consultation. You will, get an hour with me. I will help you, eliminate mental blocks, like break the loop, break the cycle, help you achieve, your best self, all that stuff. So this is something that's pretty interesting for people, right? Like who's going to say no to like a free call, right? So essentially we pushed people and called them to action, like a CTA, to fill out a form. So this was a type form where we were going to get data. Now, from this type form, we got a bunch of answers. Now, to be quite honest, this was pretty underwhelming, and you'll see eventually in the video why. This person had like 10,000 people on a newsletter, had close to 100,000 people on Instagram. And I remember that this is like 50 people, 60 people. Essentially, his audience was not really that connected to him, right? Again, this was a faceless kind of account, and eventually I've learned that these types of accounts don't really work to launch digital products with, for the most part. So I was like kind of panicking. I was like, yikes, I was super excited to work with this guy, but now I see like nobody's really into it. I don't know. But it was like 4 days, so I'm like, F it, right? Essentially, why do we do this, right? Because this is essentially going to determine our marketing angle and the product that we're going to launch. Simplified, it's going to determine the what and it's going to determine the who. And the reason that we need to determine the what and the who is because if we don't know what we're going to sell, right, which is determined by who we're selling to, and this is just like a little lesson, right? Like to sell something, you need, I was going to say the word product market fit, but that's a bit too advanced and like a bit further along. But essentially, if you have a product and you don't know who you're selling it to, you can't make it specific to them, right? And in this case, we're talking about an audience. So we're generalizing, okay, from the audience, let's call it 60% of the audience is this specific person, right? I guess in the industry, we would call that an avatar or an ICP, an ideal client profile, right? An ideal client persona. So we try to figure out exactly who, and we try to like figure out and kind of create this fake person. What are their pain points? What are their fears? What are their desires? What do they actually want? What are they willing to invest? How much money do they have in their bank account? And we might kind of make this generalization from the audience and understand who our audience is and what they're actually willing to pay for or what they're interested in. Because once we find what they want, if we can just then create that and market that, then that's a win-win. Because then these two things, which is the person, which you should always focus all of your sales around, because ultimately, like think of Apple, think of Steve Jobs, right? This is a great movie that I always like to watch. But the turning point for Steve Jobs and Apple was once he realized that the everyday person, the person that was going to be Apple's customer, didn't know how to use computers on like a day-to-day basis, right? Because initially, Steve and his team were like selling just like the board and like the tech, right? But they weren't selling something that the everyday human, like just layman, could use. So then once he understood who the person is and what their struggles are and what they actually want, then he created a product for that, right? So you do the same thing when you find a client to launch a digital product with, right? You want to understand exactly who their audience is so that then it's like, okay, they want this, right? Maybe they want an ebook, maybe they want a PDF, maybe they want one-on-one consulting or one-on-one mentorship, or maybe they want a paid community to connect with other people, or maybe they want a combination of that. Maybe they want a course with modules, right? So once you understand who you're making the thing for, you can then create that what, okay? So, and what can also be like not only the product, but the marketing angle. What's the message that you're going to communicate out into the public, okay? So if that message, so if people struggle with, let's say, what's something that people struggle with? Their self-image, and let's say that you're helping somebody that, you know, is a fitness content creator or a fitness expert, and the audience, for the majority, what they want is to have a better self-image and feel better about themselves, then that's what you market it as. A tool, the product then becomes a tool to help you with your personal image and feeling better about yourself, right? Because then when people see that, they resonate, and then it's that much easier for people to buy, right? Quick side tangent, but pretty important stuff. So yeah, all this information helped us create an offer, right? So an offer, and we'll make a video about that eventually because I don't know how many people know exactly what an offer is on here. But essentially we created an offer, right? And we create kind of like a marketing angle and an angle for the launch, right? So what is this launch going to be about? What are people struggling? Let's talk about this because this is what people are struggling. So if we can help them solve that, and by the end of this week, you know, we launch a product that can help them with that, then that's where we make money, right? Because if people want, let's say, you know, let's talk about food, right? Somebody that's talking about diet. You know, let's say somebody wants to convince you that you need to buy or like eat, I don't know, salmon, right? Salmon's good, right? But let's say your audience wants to eat red meat. If you're going to sell, like let's say you're in a market, right? And you want to just, you know, figure out what to make money with, and you're like, no, but salmon is better. Look at all these, you know, it has all these protective, like, you know, enzymes or molecules. I don't know, right? Like I'm not an expert. But, you know, this thing and this benefit and this vitamin and this thing, and because it's in the ocean, it's like super healthy, and, you know, the skin, you can also crust it and like whatever. But people don't want that. You can try to convince them as much as they want or as much as you want. But if they just want red meat, why not just figure out how to get that red meat? And it's like, you want this, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, pay me for it. Yeah, the transaction is going to be that much easier. So anyways, once we analyze the audience, step 2 is write the emails, not analyze the audience. Yeah, again, 6:30 p.m., you get it. So yeah, we write the emails. Now, what does this look like? Essentially, this is what it looks like. You know, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. This is all the days in which we did emails. That like audience analysis thing, or that audience analysis post that we did, I think we did it like this day, right? So it was like 21st or the 22nd. So it gave me like 2 days to kind of figure it out. And essentially we went ahead and wrote the emails. Now, what are we writing these emails about, right? As you see, email 1, email 2, email 3, email 4. By the way, why is there a story here? Because ultimately with this story on Instagram, we were just writing an email. Once we had that email, we would create an Instagram story variation so that people could read the Instagram story, and then on the 4th or 5th story, they would get sent to like, hey, finish reading today's newsletter or read today's, you know, thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, link, keep reading, boom, right? So this increased our conversions. Now, you know, this was so yeah, what are the stories? What are the emails, I mean? Right? Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. What are we writing? So number 1, ultimately we're trying to get a sale, right? So to get a sale, I've been talking about this here, but it's so important that you understand this, right? The first email that we're sending is a personality email, right? So here's a direct copy and like a screenshot of what each, like if you have Notion, and this is like the launch calendar, there's a bunch of stuff here that eventually I may just share on how you can create a launch calendar like this yourself. But anyways, so this is just like inside. I would write the email inside, right? I would write it inside, or I would write at least these things, and then my client, because he was like a writer himself, he would just finish my concept and just write it out himself so that it was in his tone. Eventually, I kept working with him, and we made more money, and I would just write his stuff. But yeah, so theme, success starts somewhere. The main idea is personality warm-up. We want to warm people up towards their personality. What do I mean by warm up? By warm up, I mean that a lead, we were talking about a lead, or a viewer, or a subscriber, or whatever, typically they're going to start off as cold, right? That's where they start on the funnel. They start as cold traffic. They're like, I'm seeing your stuff, I subscribed, but I don't really know who you are. You probably have people that you're following on Instagram or subscribe to on YouTube that if you went like right now and like started to do a cleanup, you're like, why the F am I following this person? I don't know. That's cold, right? So once they start watching your stuff, there's things that you can do to take them as a cold lead, and a cold lead is somebody who would not pay you anything, right? So from cold to hot, right? Have you ever put like hot and cold and you're like, covering your eyes and trying to find it, right? The warmer you get, the warmer the lead gets to purchasing something from you or having that feeling of wanting to purchase something from you. So by warm up, I mean taking the lead from being cold. I don't know you. I don't know what you do, what you're offering, why I should buy from you or trust you. Who the heck are you? To warming them up and being like, I need to buy this. You're awesome. I would love to be your friend. I think, you're sick. Like, I want to do this. Let's go. Here's my credit card. Boom. Right. So that's how we're going to warm these people up. So personality warm up, right? Introduction of the gap, right? Like the gap, and this is like more marketing stuff. The gap just means the gap between where that person is now to where they want to be, right? So sections, ignore this. This is not essential for you right now. Let's actually cross it off because it's going to be confusing. But anyways, there we go. But yeah, so the goal was to generate massive trust, relatability, likability, and show your path. I was writing this to my client so that he could go ahead in the morning, read this, and then write it out. So I would be like, hey, the goal is to generate massive trust, relatability, likability, and show your path. Your path to succeeding, right? Because he eventually, he was making a lot of money with e-commerce and a lot of other stuff, and he had a restaurant and like pretty cool stuff. He was doing podcasts with like Luke Belmar, Hamza, like a lot of really cool people. So, he was showing people the path of, kind of like the rags to riches thing, right? And eventually, I kind of talk about this here, I think. But anyways, leading the reader to see how anyone, even them, can achieve their goals, right? But also fall in love with you in the process. The you they haven't seen or heard of yet. So kind of showing that vulnerability, that different side of him. That's what I was trying to get him to do. Because with this email, this would create a emotional connection from the viewer to the creator, right? Boom. Now people have seen like, oh my God, this guy's like just like me. He came up from nothing. He eventually made it. He went through the same problems. He had anxieties. He had fears. He had doubts, right? All these things, right? So massive trust, relatability, likability, showing your path. These are mental triggers that are going to work with anything that you're selling, right? But mainly digital products. That's why AI stuff doesn't work, because if people know that it's AI, they're not going to trust you. They don't trust who's behind the AI. Like the only people that trust like AIs are like grandparents who are buying or like some old pervert who is buying like AI OF, which is just diabolical, right? But anyways, this would lead the reader to see how anyone, right? So once they relate to that person, they're like, if he can do it, so can I. So now they're that much more bought in. From cold, now they're like here, right? And then they would like this person more in the process, right? So because this person was like a faceless channel, this was an essential email. Like I wish we would have done like 30 days. We probably would have maybe doubled or tripled what we did, but he only wanted to do 4 days. Fair enough. But yeah. So this was like the email structure. We can talk about that fully another day. But this is email 1. Now, email 2 is talking about his method. His method to what? His method to success. He had generated, I think multiple 6 and 7 figures. I don't know if 7, but he was generating a lot of money with some e-com or drop shipping stores. He had this restaurant. He was meeting all these cool people, creating some content, etc. Right? He had this very successful Instagram account, whatnot. And his method to doing that was not a business model. It was not networking. It was not this other hack. It was self-mastery. It was learning to, master the self, eliminate, like mental loops and like negative thinking and all these things, right? And that was his method of achieving success, or that's at least what he accredited it to. So the goal of this email now is to show people that self-mastery is the only way to achieve anything in their life, right? By the end of this, They need to be sold on the fact that they need to master themselves first to dominate in all areas of human need, health, wealth, and relationships. Which, by the way, parenthesis, these are the best niches, like just overall, these aren't niches, these are just like, this is what you need to partner up with people. Somebody, like if you're trying to find a client to do this type of stuff, they should either be in the health, wealth, or relationships niche. So helping people be more healthy or live longer, make more money, have better finances, save more money, or relationships, have better relationships, etc. Right? But this was the goal of the email, right? So here we're actually showing the activities and methods that he used to get to where he was at, which by last email, people now want to get to where he's at and they relate to him and they want to be like him. And now they want to learn why he was able to do that. So this second email is very, very crucial because of that same thing. Because now you're selling this thing as an individual variable as like to the reason why, right? So now people, after reading this, they're like, okay, I don't need to chase this other thing. This is a distraction, right? People are talking about business models. This guy's talking that it's not the business model. It's not the, wake up at 5 a.m. It's not the cold plunge. And I remember we actually did these types of things in the email, right? Maybe one day I can make a video going through each email or something like that. If you want that, let me know in the comments. By the way, right now, if you've made it so far, comment white polo, right? And I'll save you a spot for free in the Discord, which is going to be free anyways. But yeah, a lot of people have been asking for like mentorship and stuff. We'll see. But yeah, comment white polo to see if you're a real one. But anyways, cool. So yeah, got it? Okay. So by now you're even like, okay, maybe this guy's actually right. Maybe self-mastery is the thing, right? Because I remember I actually did this. Like I remember creating the marketing angle of like, self-mastery is the thing. It's not this other thing. You're chasing, the cold plunge and like the Ashton Hall like face plunge and, the red light therapy and like meditation and like a journal. Like, no, it's not that. It's the self-mastery. It's self-control, which actually he didn't mean it in that context, but even me as a Christian, like biblically, like self-control is essential. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit. So yeah, pray for self-mastery. So anyways, this was the second email, right? So second email, we post it. By the end of it, we already know what people are thinking. Number 3, expertise email. You can achieve self-mastery too. Now, expertise, we're also trying to communicate 2 things. We're trying to communicate, number 1, the expertise of my client, right, on how he was able to do it and how he's taught it, but also showing how he's taught others and how others have been able to do the same thing, which means that you can too, right? Which is an essential limiting belief that a person needs to block in their mind before buying. Right? So if you can make a person think that like, hey, these people can all do it, and maybe you're thinking, this is not going to be for me, can I start this without any money? Can I do it like this, like that, blah, 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 right? Once you believe that you can do it, then you're that much more bought in, right? So this is the purpose of this email, right? The main idea is they need to learn from you, right? And we're creating mystery, we're creating hype, and they need to see that everyone needs this regardless of their stage in life. Because based on this, right, we didn't get that much data. So I was like kind of in the dark and I was like a bit more beginner and I was like, okay, maybe we're just going to make something a bit more to everyone rather than a specific person, right? So yeah, it wasn't necessarily the worst decision in my life, but like maybe I could have done this better in hindsight. But anyways, regardless of their stage in life, and that anyone can achieve self-mastery, right? Because maybe some people don't think that they can achieve self-mastery. Maybe you're right now thinking to yourself, yeah, but I have this terrible habit that I keep doing and I'm super pissed every time that I do it, or, I can't wake up at the time that I tell myself and I keep lying to myself, right? Like these things happen, right? So people need to see that you can achieve it, because once you think you can, you actually can, because if you think you can't, you generally can't. And that's true with anything. But anyways, so that's what we're trying, like the main ideas we're trying to communicate. How are we going to do it? With testimonials, showing like the benefits of actually, achieving self-mastery, providing options, right? And again, these are things that maybe won't help them right now, but yeah, maybe they will. So you're going to provide them options, right? Like, okay, there's 2 paths that you can take. Number 1, the path where you ignore, self-mastery, or number 2, the path where you actually try to achieve self-mastery and you actually achieve it, and then you achieve your life's goals and your life's purpose, right? And then hinting at the fact that we're going to launch something that can help you achieve self-mastery. So the goal is to make them see that my client is the only expert that can show them the path to self-mastery through the systems and the methods that he's been able to do and done before for himself and for others. And that anyone can do it, and everyone at every stage should try to achieve self-mastery. Because ultimately, in this person's audience, there were like 8-figure founders and people that were making like millions of dollars. And funnily enough, you'd think that somebody that's making 7 figures a year or a month has it all figured out. Quite the opposite, right? Like a lot of those people, and this is just like a little lesson. Maybe I'll make a video about this tomorrow. Also, drop in the comments, even if you already commented, don't be crazy. Just comment if you'd want me to talk about like just like more mindset stuff instead of like tactical videos like these. Because ultimately, a lot of the times, and this is something that somebody told me recently, it's essentially talking about somebody that was making a lot of money or is making a lot of money per month, I think in the 7 figures. And they knew this person personally and used to work with them. And he told me like, bro, you know the difference between them and you is that they don't think that they have to have it all figured out. Essentially what I'm trying to tell you is that people that actually make money don't know what the hell they're doing. They just do stuff. And with some logic and obviously some knowledge that they've acquired, they succeed, right? So there's a lot of people that still need help with things when they're like at that stage of life. So, that's why, this talks about everyone at every stage should do this, right? So that was that email, right? And then for the 4th email, people now are like expecting this thing and like, oh my God, what is he going to drop? Like, how is he going to help me with my self-mastery, all these things? And then product launch email, right? So like I'm opening, right? I think I didn't finish writing what I was saying here. Like I'm opening spots. It's probably what I meant to do. But it's like main idea, provide options and the solution to their problems. They can't do self-mastery. Here's the option or here's the solution to your problem. Get them hyped up, get them hyped, right? Like, I don't know why I did that. This is like a FIFA celebration. If you know, you know. Or I think it was like this. If you know who that player was in that FIFA advert, you're a G. But anyways, be very specific on who it's for. Show how others have asked for this a lot before you decided. Okay, now this is essential. Why did I highlight this? Because in life, people are like herd mentality. This is one of the mental triggers. I'm probably going to make a video about mental triggers. But when people see that others are doing something, for some reason, they're just going to want to do it. They just want to be part of what others are doing. And they're like, if all these people like this thing, I'm going to like it too. Ultimately, that's why songs go popular, because when like a small sect of people start to like something, then others see that, and then it just kind of like, starts to create. And as well, when like mostly when people are like, hey, can you help me? Can you help me with this thing? Can you show me how to achieve self-mastery? And you're showing that, and we did in this email, people are like, oh, people are actually like wanting this guy's help. Maybe I should want it too, right? Like, so that's what we were doing, right? Cool branding for 888. That was kind of like what we were, that was like part of his brand, like the infinity thing. And we were like, anyways, sections, brief other emails. So we were kind of like talking a little, like, remember in the first email when we talked about this and then this, then this, then this is what happens, right? Like providing the options. This is the solution to your problem, opening the doors, right? The goal is to get as many high quality applicants through the door. So essentially, what's the process here, right? So anyways, I wrote those emails. The client posted it every single day, right? So day 1, he posted it. Day 2, he posted it. And I wrote these in the span of so I wrote these all at the same time. So I did it one day. Maybe I should change the title of the video. I don't think so. It's maybe a bit clickbait. But yeah, I wrote these in one day or two, and then he just posted them, right? But anyways, on the last day, this was going to be the funnel, right? So the funnel was going to be people read the final email. There's a call to action. A call to action is essentially just telling people to do something, book a call, fill this application, click this button, close this email, right? Obviously no one's saying that. But yeah, call to action. Then the call to action was to an application form, right? So people were filling out an application form. And then what do you know? This ended up having a lot more people fill out the application than at the beginning, right? Still, it was 4 days, but it was triple the amount of people. I think this hit 200. And this was 50 what? I can't zoom in more, but it was 59. So 59 people here and then 200 people here. We 4x'd. The same email, the same email newsletter eventually converted, and this was a free call. like a free consultation call. This is like a paid thing, and people know that it's paid consulting and coaching, right? Like if I would have done this for like 30 days, like I can only imagine how much money we would have made. But anyways, so 200-ish people, I think 200 and something, because I just took the screenshot. So yeah, but 200 people plus filled out this application, wanting help. Now you can see green and red, like people that, you know, we weren't using like a proper CRM because I was like, I didn't even know if this was going to go well. But yeah, we started to like see, okay, this person can pay, this person can't pay, this would be a good person to help, not a good person to help, good lead, bad lead, all these things, right? So people would apply, then we would DM them, right? We would DM them on Instagram or WhatsApp or anything, wherever they filled out the stuff. This as well, don't try to follow this. I think it would have been just a lot better to have the application form, have logic on the application form, and then just directly have them book a call there and then. We would have probably closed a lot more deals as well, but in hindsight, I was not as an expert as I am now, so I was doing things a bit differently. I was just testing stuff. It was like 4 days. What do you mean? Let's do it. So yeah, we would DM them, we would get them to book a call, and then we would close the deal, right? So guys, that's essentially how we did it, right? So that's how we made it, and that's how we made these $20,000. And this is like him walking through the people that were in the pipeline, had already paid, etc., and eventually paid. I think maybe a few people more paid, but for the sake of the video, I'm not going to like lie and say, oh, 30, just for that sake. There's another video that I'm going to make about 30,000 that we made with another client. But yeah, so guys, that is the process. It's that simple. We posted emails. We sent emails to this person's newsletter. At the end, this was the process. In the email, a call to action with a link to an application form. This was on Typeform. People filled it out. We got their number. We got all their information. How much money do they have available to invest, or are they willing to? We would DM them, be like, hey, saw your application, etc. We think you'd be a great fit. Let's hop on a call. Send them a Calendly booking. People would book. My client or I would hop on the call. We would close the deal with payment processing, and he would start consulting them. It was like a few months package. It was like 3 months, one-on-one calls every 2 weeks. So yeah, that's simple, guys. It's not rocket science. Not rocket science at all. And how can you do it? You can find a client. You can find a client who's an expert at something. They have an audience of some sorts on Instagram, on YouTube. They have a newsletter. They have a Facebook group. They have a free community, something, right? You help them create a launch strategy, talk about the same topics. I would suggest making it longer. I can talk about what that process looks like for the most part. On different, because this was email, I've done Instagram stories, I've done YouTube, different type of stuff, Facebook group. Post that content, either you post it or your client post it. Just follow the steps, follow the process, post everything every single day. Sorry for the mic. And at the end, have a sales process, payment processing, and you're going to make money. That's how you're going to do this. If it sounds too easy, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it just has been. Like, a lot of the things that have actually made me money have been the things that I did not think were actually going to make me money, and were just super simple to do. And I didn't really think about it. So anyways, I hope this video, helped. Catch you on the next one. Let me know what you want to see in the channel as well. Drop it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.